Alhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulillah. Allah reminds us to protect our children. In Surah At-Tahrim, chapter 66, verse 6, Allah says, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu qu anfusakum wa ahlikum nara. He says, O you who believe, save and protect yourselves and your families from the fire. وَقُودُهَا النَّاسُ وَالْحِجَارَةِ, whose fire is fueled by people and stones. So a very serious verse here. But let's focus on the first part. Allah is telling the believers, you have a responsibility to save yourselves from the fire of hell, and you have a responsibility to save your families from the fire of hell. And by families, it's referring to whichever family level you have authority over. It could be your parents, could be your spouse, but primarily we're talking about children. And it's reminding parents that they have not only a responsibility towards themselves, but they have a responsibility towards their children in the sight of Allah. Now what's going to happen is that you have two extremes here. One extreme is that people neglect their children. They don't give them a proper upbringing. They don't give them a proper Islamic education. They don't spend the amount of time that they're supposed to be spending with them. And then when they grow up, they say, well, it's society's bad, and it's really not my fault. There's so many bad things going on. There's nothing I can do about it. And that's just someone neglecting their responsibility. The reality is, if we look today, right, you see this all the time, especially among Muslim immigrants who came, into Western countries. They say, it's so difficult living in the West, living in America, living in Canada, living in the UK. There's so many bad, environment influences around us. If we stayed in our home country, things would have been a lot easier and all of that. Yes, maybe that's the case. Maybe it's a lot easier. Maybe because if you live in a country which has, majority Muslim population, it has masjids everywhere, perhaps the argument can be made that people are going to grow up with better character, better morals, more respect for parents. Maybe not. But if you voluntarily opted to live in a place where you're getting certain benefits, worldly benefits, you have more job stability, you can make more money, you have maybe more freedom to do your own projects inside the masjid or whatever it is, it comes with a sacrifice. It comes with a commitment. That requires you to put in more effort when it comes to your children. And if that's a society you opted to be in, then you need to step up. You need to put the more time. You need to put the more effort. You need to invest more money, whatever it requires. So wherever you are, we need to understand everyone has a responsibility. And the responsibility is not only to themselves, but parents' responsibility is towards their own children. The second extreme is that someone puts in all the effort. They put in the money, they put in the time, they put in everything. They're the best role model they can possibly be. And then their children completely go off on the wrong path. And they say, I don't understand what I did. What did I do? Allah's never going to forgive me. Well, you know what? When you get in that category, you remember that even the prophets, Prophet Noah, he could not save his own son. Right? You find that Prophet Yaqub, he had 12 children, 11 of them or 10 of them took one of them and threw him into a well, threw Yusuf into a well. I mean, he's a prophet, he's a messenger of God, he's a role model, he's doing everything he's supposed to be doing, and sometimes you can still find children going astray. So make sure that you do not fall into one of the extreme categories. Our job and our responsibility as parents is that we have a responsibility to invest time, invest care, invest money, put the effort into giving our children the best upbringing we possibly can have. And even after all of that, if we did it, the results are in control of Allah. So we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to protect our children. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make us fulfill our responsibilities towards our children. Ameen.